Hey everyone, it's Forrest here, and today I'll be going over some balloon battle strategies used on Block Fort in Mario Kart DS. In this video, I'll be going over 3 consecutive battles I performed on this stage. Block Fort is an interesting stage due to being the largest map in battle mode. The size of this map makes a speedrun takes much longer here compared to the other stages. In fact, only 3 players ever are confirmed to have completed a balloon battle in under 2 minutes: MH, Anthony, and myself. Others have gotten close, but the sub-2 run remains elusive for most players. In this walkthrough, I will explain how I make this time more attainable without a large amount of luck. After you've become familiar with the strategies used on this map, you will be one good run away from crushing the sub-2 barrier. Without further ado, let's break down the first battle. When going through these battles, there will be 2 graphics on the screen. The one on the left represents all the routes the CPUs can take, and then the green circles here represent variability within a CPU's same route. And then the graph on the right here is a less cluttered view of Block Fort, where I can more clearly explain some of the play-by-play that I'll be showing here. I begin by selecting a character. On this stage, it doesn't really matter which character you choose. And then I switch the difficulty to easy, because it is very difficult to clear Block Fort in under 2 minutes if you're playing on any difficulty other than easy, although it is still possible. The battle begins with myself and one CPU right around here, and then all of the other 6 CPUs will start here, here, and here. What they will all do at the start of the battle is drive towards the center and then choose a path between left, middle, or right. And what you want to do when you start the battle is turn around as soon as possible so you can quickly get to one of these item boxes. Because on average, you'll almost always get one CPU who chooses to turn in your direction, and then you have a lot of time to prepare and attack them. So I start here, quickly get an item, and this is a boo. This isn't really useful, so I use it very fast and hopefully try to get another item before anyone arrives. And now I see that Yoshi is coming over, so there was one CPU who came here. And he's got 3 balloons, so I know that he's not going to try to reinflate any, because when you're playing on easy mode, all the CPUs, they only have a maximum of 3 balloons. So if they inflate all 3 at the start, you don't have to worry about taking out any spares they can reinflate. I draw triple reds here, and since Yoshi is the only target around, I make sure to strategically space out my throws, so that, like here, I hit him once, and then he'll be invulnerable for a few seconds, and then that's when I throw the second red shell at him. And what you want to do when you have red shells is that you don't need to move. Like, the red shell can do a lot of the work for you, so I release the third one in advance because I know that by the time it reaches him, his invincibility window will be done, and then you can see in a few seconds he'll be eliminated. And the next item I draw here is triple shrooms. You always want to try to draw more items as fast as possible, so you want to try to stick around these few item boxes. And triple shrooms aren't that useful either in Block Fort, so I'll try to back up and then use all 3 of them really fast to try and get another item. After you think you've gotten a decent item, the first thing you want to do is leave this area, which we'll call the first floor. The fort is made up of 3 areas. The first floor with the white tiles here, the second floor will be this lower portion of the fort, and then the third floor will be these tops of the fort, and then all the bridges that go around it. So I use the triple shrooms, Yoshi dies here, and I make my way on top of this red fort to get to the second floor. And I use a combination of like mini turbos and like cautious drifting so I don't run into walls, because I want to try to get to my next target as fast as possible. I draw a red shell here, which I will retain because that's a pretty good item, and I see Waluigi on this screen here, so I immediately throw it, and my plan here is to try to go to this item box, then immediately turn back around and hit him again before he gets too far away. But the item box doesn't respawn quite in time, so I make a small error here, and I'm not able to get an item. So by this point, Waluigi has gone too far away, so I don't have time to draw another item. So what I do here is that I switch. It's always important that if one CPU gets too far away and there's another one nearby, it's completely fine to just switch assignments and then go to a next one. Because it's hard to see here, but I see Dry Bones and his name tag come up here, so I know he's nearby. And when this item box does respawn, I take it, drive towards him, and it's a red shell. He only has 2 balloons instead of the 3 that Yoshi had earlier, so I know there's a possibility that he tries to reinflate his spare. So I hit him, immediately grab another item, and I'm gonna try to hit him after his invincibility window runs out, but before he fully finishes reinflating his spare balloon. And if you do that, it counts as them being hit with 1 balloon, eliminates them instantly, and will refer to this as a critical hit. So Dry Bones he's almost finished reinflating the spare balloon here, so I throw the red shell, but unfortunately I threw it just a few frames early, so it didn't do any damage. So I tried to recover, get another item, and like this, I don't have to chase him down because I just got a red shell, and then this is gonna do the work again. It's gonna go towards him, and then I can go to another assignment. And you might wonder why I performed 2 switches in such a short period of time. And a reason for that is that this area at the center of Block Fort, as long as you're on the 2nd floor, this is a really popular area to stay in if there's still a lot of CPUs left on the stage, because what can happen is like you can fire towards this if they're near that fort, or if they go to this opposite corner, you also have a place where you can shoot red shells. And if they're driving on the 1st floor, you can still fire from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor, and red shells can still lock onto them. And then if they're anywhere around these bridges or on another fort, that gives you a pretty quick path to get to the nearest one. So this area here is the area where you can do the most damage on average. At this point, after I've abandoned the Dry Bones, I have 2 possible options. I can try and target Mario here before he gets too far away, or I can try to hit this Bowser here because he's driving towards me. And when he reaches this decision point, he's only got like 3 options. He can keep driving counterclockwise around this fort, or he can try to drive this on this bridge or this bridge. So in 2 of the 3 cases, he'll get in front of where I currently am, which means if I've got a red shell, it's an easy hit. So I grab an item, and I see it's a red shell, so I immediately just back up, get behind him, and then release. And then the next item's a boo, so I try to get rid of that as fast as possible. And it gives me a green shell here. Green shells aren't quite as good as red shells, but now it's time to introduce another concept. These CPU routes up to this point have been extremely random, pretty unpredictable, but there's one route that you can almost always count on, and this is called the retreat to center, or in some cases, retreat to corner. And what happens is that when a CPU is bumped off from a higher portion of the stage onto a lower portion, they're confused about where they currently are, so the game has programmed them to either return to the center of this stage, or if they get bumped off closer to these corners here, they'll go back to one of these corners before they can start driving again. And this is important because as I get this green shell, I see that Daisy has just been bumped off the bridge by Bowser, and she's really close to this center spot here. So this is why even before she moves at all, I'm able to realign myself towards the center, release the green shell, and it connects. And at this point, I see Bowser, he did a full lap around the smaller bridges, and he's only got 1 balloon, so it's an easy decision to just go and eliminate him. And then you'll see that I'm facing the same way that Daisy is going, so I'm going to try to throw off the 2nd floor onto the 1st floor, and the red shell will target her. So it's a really quick way. You don't have to drive too much towards the CPUs, and that's why you want to stay away from the 1st floor, because there's a lot of space around here, not many item boxes, and it just takes a while if you want to chase them down, so it's much better to attack from above. And here things go mostly according to plan. Mario comes back the other way, and this red shell decides to target him instead of Daisy, so it's kind of like it's one hit all the same. And I do mention that this battle is average luck, but a fair disclosure, there's a pretty lucky moment here because when Mario was coming back around, he left a bomb behind, and this takes out Daisy, so I don't have to go and take her out later. So now I can just focus on Mario, who's still down to one balloon, and I get a set of triple red shells, so I want to be resourceful with them because that can be up to 3 hits if you manage correctly. And I throw the first one here, and let's be honest, that was a terrible throw, but I'm able to collect myself, once again just throw from the second floor, mostly parallel to the computer's track, and then the red shell will lock on, and now he's only got one balloon, so he's eliminated, and I don't have to worry about him. And at the same time, I see Dry Bones with just one balloon is up on this fort, so it's another easy choice to just throw it there, and it'll eliminate him. If you're driving up on this ramp, you don't want to drive too fast, because it's possible that the red shells can sometimes overshoot their targets, and they'll end up on this second floor here, so you won't be able to hit them if the red shell ever does that. And right now, there's only 2 CPUs left, Waluigi and Wario. So I try to find where the closest one is, and I just do a bit of driving around. I see Wario here, but he's on the first floor, and I'm not facing him right now, so it would be kind of tough to just turn around and then throw at him. And at the same time, I see that Waluigi is right here on the red fort, so I move up to the 3rd floor to target him, and then take this item box. I still have 1 red shell, which should be enough to eliminate him, but in case I miss or something unexpected happens, and I also don't want him to get a star, so that's why I take the item box too, so he can't get it. And I just wait for his invincibility window to run out before releasing the red shell. And it's important that I release here because on this point, Waluigi has 2 options. He can keep driving on this bridge all the way to the yellow fort, or he can quickly turn around, keep driving on the 3rd floor of the red fort. So I throw this red shell in such a way that no matter which path he chooses, it's going to hit him, because it's well aligned with the bridge, and if he does that sudden clockwise turn, it's going to hit him as well. And by this point, 6 computers have been eliminated, and what you want to do when you have 6 eliminated is switch to this second view of the map, which provides a less detailed but more zoomed out view. And then that's where you want to find like where the 7th one is, so you can quickly track them down and then record the battle in under 2 minutes. So I toggle the map here, and I see that in this brief time, Wario is on the 1st floor near the green fort, and he's moving counterclockwise. So this is about the worst place he could have been in, but I still need to play it smartly because he's got 3 balloons and I've got triple reds, so I know that I've got enough to take him out, so I deploy the reds, and I don't use them right now. But it's at this point that I go to the 2nd floor of the green fort, because here's what he can do. He could have, when he's driving counterclockwise, he could have kept driving on the 1st floor here, or he could have come up on the green fort here, in which case he would continue to drive counterclockwise until he ends up around here. So he's only got those 2 decisions to make. So what I do is that I take this one, and then since I see that Wario isn't there, I know that he's kept going on the 1st floor. So now I move to his next decision point, because when he keeps driving on the 1st floor, he won't do anything until he gets to here. And then when he gets here, he has a few options. He can turn between the yellow and green fort, which is right around here. But I see that when I move closer, he hasn't done that because he's not around. So that's how I know that even without the mini-map, I know he's somewhere around here at this point. And then when it's like that, you just want to chase them down, keep doing mini turbos. He continues to drive counterclockwise. I throw this first red shell here, but it doesn't lock on, but that's okay because I picked up a backup item since I was able to, like, deploy my reds earlier. And I hit him with the 2nd red shell, hit him with the 3rd red shell, and make sure to wait until his invincibility window runs out, and then release the green shell right as he's vulnerable again. So that's how I can beat the battle in under 2 minutes, even though I got like some average luck. You see, I got triple shrooms, I got booze a couple of times. CPU routes weren't always the best. So I hope that helps, and if you want to stick around, we'll go through the second battle. In this battle, I begin by doing the exact same thing that I did last time, which is just turn around and get the items. And since you have a lot of time, I just decided to bump this guy for fun. Here, my first item is a red shell, and you can see this is again an average luck battle because due to the opportunities for the thing I call the critical hit, it's better if computers start with 2 balloons, but you can see in this battle, 5 of them started with 3 and 2 of them started with 2, and each of them is a coin toss, so this was a bit on the unluckier side. But anyway, I get this red shell here, and I see that the Yoshi, just like last time, he's coming around, so I fired the first one, and then by the time he gets here, he's vulnerable again, so I hit him a second time. And then I wait before deploying these red shells, because even if he's invulnerable, and if he comes near me, and I have them deployed, he could take 1 or 2 of them away, and then they would just be wasted. So I wait until he moves far enough away to deploy them, and then throw the last one when he's vulnerable again. Now, when you're on the first floor here, you might sometimes get a CPU coming around this way, or that way, and in those cases, you do want to stay at this set of item boxes as long as you can, so you can attack them. I throw 1 red shell to the daisy here, and then another, but you can see I got triple shrooms again. So I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, which is just back up, use all 3 of them, and hopefully get something better. But I get triple shrooms again, so even though there are 2 computers there wasn't much I could do. And a quick recovery when you get on the second floor is that you can hop on the ledge right around here and then do a quick 180. In this video, I did not really hop onto the ledge and instead did a turnaround. But if you do that, you can get an item box here. And then you can look at the mini-map on this fort to see if anyone's nearby. And if no one's nearby, you just head to that middle section where more CPUs are closer on average. But in this case, I see the Wario coming around counterclockwise, so I get the item before he can, and it's a blooper, so that's another useless item, so I just use it. And I make sure to get to the item box again right before Wario comes here, so he doesn't have a chance to get anything. And this turns out to be extremely useful because this is a star, and when you use stars properly, you can get 3 hits on 1 CPU and even more hits if there are others nearby. So what I do is that I bump into him without using the star, and this is because I wasn't fully ready to activate it yet, and I didn't know if I was on the right line with him. But now that I bumped into him once, I know that I'm basically parallel to him, so I feel safe using the star, and then I bump into him, so he loses his first balloon. And whenever you do that with a star, you want to get behind them again, because if they suddenly change directions, you want to be able to adjust to that fairly quickly so you can still get your 3 hits. So I track him, and then when he stops blinking, he's going to be vulnerable again. So I hit him, and then get behind him again, and then just hit him a 3rd time, and then move to this area so I can get more kills. So that's 2 CPUs down, and I'm driving around because I didn't see any around here, but I do see the dry bones up here, and I know that I can quickly get onto the ramp and on the 3rd floor where I can attack him. And I make sure not to be too aggressive with my speed because, like I said, you don't want the red shell to overrun him and then go on the 2nd floor. So I hit him once, and I accidentally hit one of my 2nd red shells against a wall here. And I could have stayed with dry bones to try and get a critical hit on him, but because there's both Mario and Waluigi who are in positions where it's easy to throw a red shell at them, I decide to switch anyway. So I throw one at Mario when he approaches this corner, and it becomes clear that he's not going to go clockwise around this fort, he's going to go on one of these 2 bridges. So I hit him once, and then try to throw this green shell at Waluigi, but unfortunately I threw it a bit early. and I make sure to grab this item box as soon as it becomes tangible, and then I just chase the CPUs around, and it's a bit lucky that they're both going in the same direction, so you see it there, I get an easy hit on Waluigi. And in this section, you can see that after I grabbed this item box, I did something with A and B where you can just quickly steer your cart around, and that becomes really useful for these like 90-degree turns at slow speed that sometimes aren't possible or are much harder to do if you're going at full speed. And when you're waiting for these item boxes to respawn, it's nice to do this when I call this like A-B adjustments. So I do one here to like get a red shell and then once again chain from this item, get another easy hit on Waluigi, and then use the blooper because that's a useless item. And then I tried to like get the item box as soon as it became tangible, but I went too early so I had to go back and get it. Not too much of a problem since Waluigi's only got one balloon, and when I see that he's committed on this bridge, and he's going to go all the way to the yellow fort, I just throw one red shell straight forward, and I know he's done. So since I don't see anything going on the third floor, but I see something on the second floor, I hop off early. You don't have to just use these ramps. You can hop off anytime you feel like it. And then when Mario is right here, he had like 2 of 3 green shells, so the first red shell takes out one of his shields. And then I think I got him with the second red shell. I'm not sure though, because there's a bigger problem at hand. And Bowser's coming around the other way with star invincibility, and he might be the one who took out Mario, but in any case, this looks very dangerous. I know I said that you shouldn't go to the first floor most of the time because it's not efficient, but in this case I'm staring down an elimination, because if he stars me, I lose my only balloon and I'm finished. So I quickly hop off here to avoid him. Then I use this boo because it's not useful. And then I slow down just enough so that I can chain from this item and keep chasing down Daisy. But then I perform a switch because like I said, the first floor is not a useful place to be in. But now that Bowser is no longer invincible, I can just mini turbo all the way to him. And how I approach him right here has to do with his routes, because if he goes counterclockwise on this yellow fort, I want him to run straight into me. And then if he goes straight on that bridge, I can adjust. But often what the CPUs will do, they'll get to around this item box, and they'll perform this really sudden 90-degree turn, and then he'd be going on this bridge instead. So by taking this angle when approaching him, I'm considering all possibilities. And I tried to just start him and get him right at his decision point, but I just barely missed him. So I back up and then try the same thing again. You can see that I try to drift in the same way so that if he chooses to go here or here on the green fort, then I still catch him because he would just drive right into me. And then if he goes on the blue fort, or the bridge leading to the blue fort, I can just adjust and then drive behind him and get him. So in any case, I don't know what he would have chosen because I hit him before he's really able to make a decision here. But that's another way that you can like guard against all possibilities. Now, there's only 2 CPUs remaining, Daisy and Dry Bones, and the Daisy is right here, but I overrun her because the star the star gives you a lot of speed, and I didn't expect to be like carrying that much speed, and I couldn't slow down in time. But that's okay because the Dry Bones is coming around on the opposite side here, and I switch to him instead because I know he's only got 2 balloons left because I hit him earlier up on the yellow fort, I believe. And I chase him down just enough. You do want to sometimes chase them down a little bit because if you throw from too far and they round the corner, then the red shell can sometimes try to round the corner but break against the wall here so it won't get them. So I advance just enough to guarantee that the hit will go through, and then I turn back. And thankfully, Daisy did this lap around the bridges here. And it's important that even though you have an offensive mindset most of the time, you need to be guarding against defense. And I mention this because Daisy has a red shell that she can use at random. And if she throws it forward here, it locks onto me and I would be eliminated. So I tried to move behind her location as quickly as possible. So I go right on the edge of this fort here. And this proved to be advantageous because right here she releases the red shell. And if I hadn't made that adjustment, I might be dead. And I'm able to get my own red shell, do an A-B adjustment so that I'm now facing Daisy. And once you do that, it becomes an easy hit because you just gotta throw it forward. And with one balloon left, she's guaranteed to be eliminated. So when I do that, I run into this fake item box on purpose just for show off. And that's the second 2-minute drill. This playthrough begins the same as the two previous ones. You just bump the computer, go behind him, and then get one of these items. And I deploy the triple greens as fast as possible so I can get another item here. And I'm well prepared for any CPUs that are coming here. But once you get to around that 7-8 second mark and you don't see anything, you know that you got a bit of bad luck and none of them came towards your direction. So what I do instead is that I go back to the center to see which way the CPUs actually went, and I see that there's two of them here. So that's when I decide to just chase them down, use the mini turbos. I don't bother with these items because triple greens and one red is it's a pretty good set of weapons. And I wait right until I see these two are going to go up on the fort, and then I unleash the triple greens because it's a short range hit, and I can get two of them, and then I back up so that I can throw the red shell, and it's another easy hit because that locks on automatically. And then when there's all this open area and I have another red shell, that's how I can hit the last shot on Wario, and then move to my next assignment. I try to hit the Daisy with this bomb, but I kind of misread the route. I thought she was going to go up on this fort, but she decided to go clockwise here, and she's now too far away. So the next logical thought would be to hit this dry bones here, but what I notice is that he's got triple green shells and he's just deployed them, so I make another switch because if I had a star, I could just hit him all the same, but now that I have triple reds, it wouldn't be a resourceful use because I'd either have to take out some of his shields or wait until he uses his items. So I perform another switch and then say, okay, Bowser's going to be the victim instead. And he's got two balloons, and I just hit his third one right there. And with the third red shell here, I back up so I can behind Yoshi, and it's just a matter of throwing it forward. And now I have a bomb, so I see that he's committed to going up on this fort right at this point here. So I see there's another CPU on top of the third floor. But what my plan is to throw the bomb on the ramp so it sticks to the slope, and then have Yoshi run into it and be eliminated. And then if it doesn't hit him, it might hit the other one. So I overshoot it a little, but I'm still capable of sniping Waluigi. And on the mini-map, I can't see it on the top screen, but on the mini-map, I saw that he's just about to head down on this ramp. So I do a quick adjustment and then take him out with the green shell, or not take him out, take his second balloon out. And he's only got one balloon left, but I switched to dry bones because now he's used up all his triple greens, and I haven't hit him yet, so I think that there's an opportunity for a critical hit. And as you can see, he's reinflating his spare balloon, and in the first battle I hit him too early, but right there I hit him perfectly in time, so I don't have to hit him a third time. I get a blooper and I try to chain that so I can get something useful, but Daisy steals the item box, which forces me to stick around. And then, right at this point, Daisy has the option to go to these bridges, or go counterclockwise. And I see she's going counterclockwise around the fort, and she's got mushrooms, so I think she's going to be tough to catch. So I decide to just switch to someone else, and that's when I see Yoshi going on top of the blue fort in the distance. but he's also far away. So what my next plan is that since Daisy went counterclockwise around this red fort, she only has two options to go. Well, she actually has three options. The first one is to go behind here where the item box is, in which case she would come back around. Her second option is to go down this ramp and then back up this ramp, in which case she would also be coming around. And then her third option is to just go down and then drive on the first floor. So I think I've got a good chance of her coming back around the red fort, and that's exactly what happens here. So I hit her, get behind her, or try to get behind her because I thought that she was going to drive forward, but she had a balloon to reinflate. So that was a lack of awareness on my part, but it's alright that I missed a critical hit because if you miss it, it's best to miss it earlier rather than later. I get one red shell, and then this time I'm behind her and she's only got one balloon, so it's the easy elimination. And in this case, I'm looking at Mario here because if I get a red shell, I want to throw it to him as soon as possible. But I get a boo instead, so he gets away from me, and I switch to Yoshi because since he's using this path here, he's guaranteed to come back around here. So I have lots of time to just position myself and then throw the red shell head on so that he is hit and eliminated. And you don't need to stick around for them to like have their balloon go down to zero. As soon as you see the hit, you want to move on to the next target. But I drive clockwise around the fort just to pick up another item. And Waluigi is still driving on the first floor, so I throw this in his direction, and I know that's gonna lock on to him. And I know that I've hit him because Luigi pumps his arms in celebration. So the only target left now is Mario. And since he's going to come back to this yellow fort area here before he makes his decision of whether to keep driving around these bridges, go here, or go up on the fort, he's always going to be in this region close to the item box. So I know that, and I leave the bomb right here so that no matter which way he goes, he's likely to hit it. And then, while he's still recovering, I use the item, use the boo, chain the item, and now I've got green shells, which I think is good enough to finish him. But I missed on all three of them, so that's embarrassing, but I recover by hitting him with this red shell. But by this point, he could continue to drive on this green fort, at which point he could go down, he could continue driving on this bridge, he could, drive around the top surface of the green fort for a long time. So I don't really know what he's gonna do, and I don't have an item to respond to his behavior. So what I do on purpose is that I knock him off the fort, so that I know that a retreat to center is coming. So as soon as I grab this item, even though I can't really see much of Mario except on this mini-map, I know to head back down to this area immediately, so that I can throw the red shell at him and finish the battle in under 2 minutes once again. So that's it for the presentation. If you had any questions, feel free to let me know if anything was unclear. Please leave a comment and I'll try to respond. And I hope that this was useful. If you want to practice some runs on Block Fort, I encouraged you to do that. And good luck with the sub 2s. And I'll see you in the next guide.